This is Ruth Schmuff from Bedecked and Bedazzled, and on this channel I am going to show you tips and techniques to make your needlepoint more creative and fun. Today I want to show you how to make these fun earrings for this canvas by Sharon Hendy Moment. We have a strip of ladder stitch with 16 units. So there are 16 beads across. Each row is 2 beads high. At this point we could simply sew this onto our needlepoint canvas, have it as a row of trim on a dress. It could be straight lines for architecture. Once sewn down, it will lay straighter. Or, in this case, we're going to turn it into an earring. Every shape is going to be different. The nice thing about this is you can sculpt with it. Our plan is going to be to attach it to the needlepoint canvas with the holes up on the beads. So we're going to use this as the inside curve on the earring. And now we have to create the outside curve. So we're going to move down to the 3rd bead. So we're just going to weave back through the 2nd bead and through the 3rd bead. Now, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Pick up 2 beads and sew back through the 3rd bead. Basically, we're going to make another row of ladder stitch that is going to build off of this first row perpendicularly. So there you can see the 2 beads are sitting side by side. Go back down through like we did to create the first row. Pick up 2 beads. Go through the new pair. And back up through them. Keep pulling everything tight so it sits together. So what we want is a row of beads that is going to come out this way. So I've worked a 2nd row of ladder stitch. It's 20 units long. So it's actually much longer than the first one. And the reason is when this curves, so this was the first leg that is 16 units long. We built off the 3rd bead, built this way, adding 20 units. So if you fold it in half, they're kind of offset, but still the new one is longer. And that's because when we curve this to make the shape of the earrings, they match up again. Because this is beading for needlepoint and not beading for beading, we're just going to let this thread hang. We're going to cut another length of thread and lightly attach it at the beginning and start connecting these 2 rows together. If this were real beading, you would attach this in the proper manner. You would knot it in so that it can't come out. You know me, we're going to wing this. So with these 2 held together, we're just going to come up through the first pair of beads, leave a tail, go down through the 2nd, back up through the 3rd, and now what we're going to do is hold them together and just sew across. It's wiggly at the beginning, but you'll survive. Come up in the 4th bead and go straight down across from it. So now it's starting to get a little bit more substantial. Keep sewing them together, one from this row, one from that row, until you get to the point where it needs to curve. At that point, once it needs to curve, you're only going to go up and down in the beads that make the interior curve. Then you'll reconnect to the outside and sew them both together. In your instructions, all of this is laid out, the exact number of beads, but for the purposes of this video, we're talking in loose terms here. So what I'm doing is I'm sewing these together. I'm looking at my canvas, placing it on top, making sure it lines up, and seeing when I have to shift to only doing the inside row. You can do a lot of fun things with this. You could be using a contrasting color beading thread. That gives it a whole different look because now all of these stitches that right now are mostly disappearing into the sides of your beads become part of the plan. I chose not to do that because of this canvas. Stay tuned, I'll tell you what comes next. Now we have a puddle of threads. I've connected the 2 rows, 1 for 1, down 5 beads. Now I'm going to skip 3 beads on both the inside and the outside. And the reason for doing that is simply so that it's a little bit more flexible. When you have them stacked completely side by side, the goal is to make it stiff so that it'll stand on its own and retain its structure. By skipping a couple of beads, it gives it a little bit more flexibility. You can see that this side is a little stiffer, and down here where they aren't connected, it's a little looser. So from this point on, we're going to connect them all up all the way to the top. So now we have our 2 rows of ladder stitch done. They're attached. You can see there's a space at the bottom where they were not attached, which is what's going to allow all of this to bend. Now here's the easy part. We're just going to sit it on our canvas, bend it into shape, and using all these threads that we have hanging, sew up and down through the beads into the canvas. One of the magic things about ladder stitch is, since this is very much a guessing game as to how many beads you will need to cover the painted area, I would start at the top, sew down, up and around. When I get to this point, if I find out I have a space, don't worry, just simply do another ladder stitch onto the end with 2 more beads, which gives you more length. I don't think you're going to need to, but just in case you do, you're good to go. I hope you find that this is a helpful little tip, something fun to do, something a little bit different. It's perfect for her earrings. I hope you enjoyed it. So don't forget to hit the button to subscribe, and that way you won't miss a video. See you soon. Bye.